and the big part of that whole change out for me is that I immediately made the choice to reinforce and strengthen my connections with my female friends in my life.
Outside the business.
Outside of my business.
Outside of your business.
Like, I immediately went to nurturing them,
Right.
which has made my life so much happier.
Right, because what can happen is we become friends with our staff, which can be very dangerous unless it is so clear, and it's very, very hard to do because, as you said, everybody's kind of acting out their family stuff, and that's so charged.
Well,
it's
and
just
everybody
so
can
charged.
act like your friend or closest friend until you have to make a decision
Right.
for the business.
Exactly.
And that is exactly what happened, was that, my responsibility and obligation is to the immediate people that are working in there and the numbers that follow.
Sure.
And I am charged with that. It's part of being an owner, is making some of those decisions that aren't very necessarily popular or understood by everybody else. And
Right.
unfortunately, that the perception of how that flows out there is not what could be actually occurring. But you can't, you go blue in the face trying to describe that to anybody or explain it away.
Of course. So now when you go to the shop, how does it feel different to you? How do you feel differently?
Well, immediately, I think after I'd really processed some of the pain and my perception of where I was at, and it was going through a mourning process,
Sure.
I mean, I completely mourned some of the losses of those relationships, and then December happened, and I'll tell you what, January
Which you did not
1st,
make your big Christmas party,
no,
correct?
No, first year, yeah.
No Christmas party.
No
You said,
Christmas party.
Girls, you're on your own. Yeah. Took yourself off the hook for that.
Yeah, the minute that 01/01/10 happened, I found myself with so much energy. I mean, I'm busting at the rims again with all these other ideas.
So let's talk about, so you freed yourself up from the dysfunctional family at work. You took back the reins of your own business, which is now functioning, just fine.
Just burning to the ground.
Because, and then what happened was, of course, it opened up, because we know that you're always bubbling with some creative new idea, and tell us about this new idea, which is the Iron Dolls.
Yeah.
Let's hear about the Iron Dolls.
And it's actually, there's actually two things. With the Iron Dolls is the most pressing thing, where all the fire's at right now, but I drafted my outline to my new book as well, so that's, it's great, because again, it opens up all this time, and...
Business book. What, life book? But
yes. Yeah. It's interesting, but that's
kind of memoir.
No, actually, this one is it's a management relational book according to the game of chess.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, it's
okay.
all
we'll
about
look
that.
forward to seeing that.
Yeah, it's really interesting. But the TV show is what actually really took off about 2 weeks ago. A friend of mine had brought it up as a potential idea that he had been kicking around for a couple of years, and wasn't going to do anything with it, so I just point blank asked him if I could do something with it.
And let's backtrack a little, because a few years ago, you and I were talking, and it came up in conversation, oh, Masyn, you should do something on TV, and we were talking about a reality hair salon show or something like that, and you had a little bites there, but again, you'd have to kind of be part of something that already happened, was happening, and it didn't really pan out. So now you get to kind of birth your own thing, which is much more your style anyway. And so tell us about this Iron Doll idea.
Yeah, so what it is literally a couple of women that I ride motorcycles with. It is women on the road riding our Harleys, and what I'm calling it is an all-American adventure series.
I love it.
On our Harleys. And we are doing a kind of behind the scenes of the rallies from a woman's perspective.
What's a rally?
Motorcycle rallies. Each state probably has easily 20 to 25 rallies each bike season.
Oh.
And there are 4 major ones, Sturgis being one of the...
big one.
Yeah.
Where's that? South Dakota,
Yep.
correct? Yes.
And
how many people are there?
last year was 656,000 people.
Okay.
And their natural size of their town is I think it's 1,100 people.
Okay.
So that's how big they grow to.
Right.
And to ride on a highway I just even thinking about it. But to be in a spot where there's 656,000 people, and I would say a good half of them are on bikes, if not more, because there's a lot of other people that come along, or people that just drive up in their vehicles just to sit there and see all the bikes and everything else, because it's just a sight.
It's a scene.
Just amazing.
It's just a scene. Because the motorcycle riding is such an American. I'm free.
It so is, and when you've been
I'm
on
free
a bike,
on the road. You'll
never go back. And so it's taking that idea, and right now that industry, the largest growing section of the industry is women, by 25% in the last 3 years.
Really interesting.
Yeah, and what's even more interesting is that none of the networks are covering anything about women. All the biker build-offs, all the shows are men's perspectives, men's shows, men producers, everything.
Right.
Advertisers geared to men, except for this year, Harley finally recognized it, and they developed 3 female bikes for females, and their entire marketing campaign has gone towards focusing on women. And so for us, it was like, we're a bunch of sailors, and
what does that mean?
Us.
So what does that mean, sailors?
I would say that, especially for Rachel and I, we have more men friends than we do women. I mean, we just, I was raised by boys on a farm, and I get boys, and even though I can put some lipstick on and dress up at the end of the day, I would rather any day be greasy next to my bike, as dirty as I can be. I mean, it's funny between Rachel and I, because the guys
She's the person that you're working on the film with.
Riding with and stuff. And the funny part is that we love to see how long we can go without having to take baths or showers. The guys that we date always often joke about chaining us to a tree and just hosing us down because, to get us to actually to bathe. And it was funny, a producer friend of mine said, well, who are your advertisers going to be? And I'm like, somebody with body odor and deodorants. Clearly after they see it. But it's just
or smell it.
Yeah, it's more about the fact that I think sometimes as women, we're either one way or the other. Like we see women either really prim and proper, or we see them as more of the rough and rugged, maybe tomboy style. But I think every woman has multiple elements within them, and we should explore that and have fun with that. And just because I ride bikes just as hard as men and want to play just as hard as men, doesn't mean that I can't celebrate the feminine side of me. And
of course.
So the whole
this is like really empowering stuff. This is like really freedom.
Yeah.
To me that is empowerment.
It's all
to be
open
free.
road and playing and just having it be girl time. And it's what I decided after I corrected the Titanic. I sat down and I was looking at it and I was like, what is it that I really want to, what's going to make me happy? And one of the things we had talked about while we were doing my chart was that I need to play. I haven't played a lot in my life. I've always been developing ideas or being really serious and forcing things through and looking at things
And as you can see, that didn't work anyway.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, it just doesn't work.
And so now I'm 40 and I want to play and enjoy, and so I knew that meant being on my Harley and traveling. And so then I was like, well, what can I do to put those two things together? Because the reality of it is unless you're doing something you absolutely love, vibrationally or energetically, you're not attracting anything to you anyway. And so the minute I put those two things together and started kicking around the ideas, it has opened a floodgate.
Oh, that's so true.
And I'm sure it's probably because
you're so amped about it, so excited about it. Because you can get behind it 100%. Because it's what you were doing to do it anyway. it's okay. So like if you make your work what you would do anyway,
right?
Like the years I had my flower shop, I like to play with flowers anyway.
Yeah.
So I'd be playing with them. I would be doing that whether I was doing a business around it or not.
And we talk about that all the time, but I think it's the part we really miss telling our kids.
Do what you really love to do.
Kids go on to college. We're like, get an education, go from here, go to, and I'm like, my son doesn't even, all he knows is that he's going to play professional football, and I am 100% behind him, even though I know what the margins of actually succeeding in that are.
Right.
Because if that's what you're going to do, that's what you're going to do.
And he might be involved in it in whatever way.
Sure. Yeah. But don't, I think we need to spend more time teaching our kids to cultivate that within yourself. What
Or
is
being
that
it.
makes you alive?
Being it so that they see it.
Yeah.
So that
exactly.
they actually see it.
Because, and I've always said that about midlife crises and all that stuff, is that I really actually think that's when you wake up and you're like, yeah, everything I thought was true was not, and now I
and what am I doing?
Yeah.
And what am I doing?
And who am I with, and why did I,
right.
we're, all these things, I always affectionately say we just should all over ourselves.
Yeah, should. All over ourselves.
Yep.
Right.
I should be doing this and I should be doing that.
Yeah, for who? For what?
Yeah,
for
exactly.
what reason? Of course.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And